Alright, welcome back guys. Welcome to your first time here. I'm Vision here with Blind Entertainment, bringing you guys another video. Today I'm giving you guys my review for Fear the Walking Dead Season 6 Episode 4, The Key. As always, if you like Fear the Walking Dead, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and hit that bell icon. That will miss more Walking Dead content from me moving forward. Now let's begin. So yeah guys, we got our new episode for Fear the Walking Dead Season 6 Episode 4, The Key. Now, this was probably a really great episode, maybe one of my best for the season, if not the series so far. Now, we got this episode and it pretty much centered around John. You got some Strand in here, you got some Janis, and you got some of Rabbi Jacobs. Now, first off the bat, I want to mention I really love that they brought back Janis and Rabbi Jacobs as reoccurring characters. This is one of the issues I had back in seasons 1 through 3, where they would introduce some characters here or there. They'd only last a few episodes and then either disappear forever or get killed off, or just last a season and then either disappear or get killed off. So I'm loving the fact that they kept these characters around and are just still here. Even if they're not great characters, I still am happy that they're there, just as just background characters and just there to be there. Like, even though, spoiler, because this is definitely gonna be spilled with spoilers, but even though Janis died, I'm glad that they brought her back for this episode, just as a way to show, yes, we have run into survivors, yes, they're members of our group, and yes, they're still here. So I really like that. And I really hope we still get that in the season moving forward. I know people don't like the kids, but I would at least like to see them at least at some point. I know they're not like fan favorites or anything, but at least show that they're still there somewhere. You don't even have to have them be a big part of the episode or series. Just at least show that they're there, they're alive or something. They don't even have to be a big centric part of the episode. They just could be shown to be there. I mean, they could even have stuff with them, with Charlie or Dakota. I mean, they don't have to, but again, it would be cool to at least show characters that are still around and still survived more than just one season. But let's move on. We got John Dory, and he's pretty much become the sheriff of Lawtown. We didn't see him in episode 2, but that's okay. I get it. That was more of a Strand and Alicia centric episode, but John's pretty much become the sheriff of Lawtown. That I really love that he's taken on that job. That's one of the things that is pretty cool, because we always heard stories about how he used to be, in charge of the law and be a cop. So actually seeing him take on that role was pretty cool. And one thing that was different, and I like this, is it wasn't the traditional Walking Dead episode. Is more like one of those murder mystery, but it was also done in a good way where it's post-apocalyptic, where it's different and doesn't feel out of place. So John ends up finding out that one of the Rangers was murdered in the middle of the night. Now, Virginia, pretty much like the synopsis says, brushes it off as an accident. However, John doesn't believe that's so, and he talks Virginia into letting him investigate the murder. So he goes for out investigating the murder, and he ends up finding information. He finds, like, I think it was this jewel or necklace piece, and he tries to find the person who it matches to. And in the midst of this, during the Ranger's funeral, Janis tries to escape. Now, at that point, she is arrested, believed to be the person who murdered Cameron. Now, this is an interesting part, because it was revealed that John has been using Janis as a way to transport letters back and forth to June, which I really like. That was a really cool idea. I like that. And Janis is like the go-between. But at the same time, it's also revealed that Virginia knows this and is actually keeping tabs on the letters and reads them. Even though she says, like, you're all safe. I don't, I trust you. So I really like that. It shows this like connection. Even though they're far apart, they still talk to each other. Now, one of the things that goes on in this episode is that Dakota seems to know that Virginia's hiding something and doesn't want John to investigate, because every time that she comes up to John, she kind of talks to him a little bit about it, but then Virginia pulls her in and doesn't allow her to talk to John. And it's pretty much heavily indicated throughout the episode that she pretty much does know who murdered Cameron, but just isn't letting it be public, which I find interesting. I really like that. And it shows Virginia's, got more layers to her. She's willing to hide things. And some people are complaining that Dakota kept being pulled in by Virginia and that it just was weak writing. But honestly, it makes sense. If she lives with Virginia's her older sister, she wouldn't want information going out, so she would rein in her sister and not let her spread this information. And at the same time, people also complain that, how does Dakota know this information? I mean, she lives with her sister, I'm assuming, so she would know this information. She would have heard her talk about it. So I don't take off points there. But you got John, who questions Janice. He doesn't believe she did it, and it's revealed that pretty much she's given in at this point. She doesn't want to live under Virginia's rule. She is willing to die for what she did, and that she just is willing to give up on life, which I found very, very interesting. And at the same time, you got him trying to convince her not, and it's pretty much indicated that he doesn't want her to die because he is because that it's kind of since she's his go-between to get June the letters, it'll interfere with that. That's kind of indicated. Now Strand does show up there, so I'm assuming this takes place after he was appointed to like a higher promotion within Virginia's ranks, and he's said to be there for a big meeting. So I wish we could have seen that meeting. I'm assuming maybe we'll get to see it down the line in a flashback, or at least I get it that they want to keep something secret, but I would have liked to see it. Maybe this has something that'll come into play later on in the season. So that would be something I'd really like to see. But he shows up in town. And it's one of the other things that I really, really did like in this episode is how Virginia talks about how in her past there is someone who claimed to be innocent, then they end up dying, and it was pretty much the same way they foreshadowed Janice's death. It was almost the exact same way. So I really like that. And you got John, who tries to talk Janice out of not confessing, but she ends up confessing and is set to be executed the next day. However, that night, you got Strand, who meets up with Rabbi Jacobs and tries to talk him into helping him save Janice. Now, this is a really good thing, and I feel like they used Janice as somewhat of a surrogate for him in replacement of June. I'm not saying they had any kind of romantic relationship at all, but I feel like it's somewhat of one of those things where they put a surrogate in there to help him with that. So I really like that, and it's also revealed that Janice was in a relationship with this ranger that was murdered, and that they had originally planned to run away and get out of there. And I guess the ranger wasn't agreeing with Virginia's ideology, so they had agreed to, escape together. And that's how John plans to get Janice out, because she told him about the escape route within their house. So John had planned to get her out that way. However, in the middle of the night, he goes out, and it's revealed that Janice was killed in the middle of the night, and that pretty much Virginia lied to him, and it was done behind his back. Now, it's revealed that Strand knows this information later on, and they get into a brawl. Now, this is we saw the brawl in the trailer for season 6, and I'm okay with it being that it was spoiled, but one of the things that I wish would have happened is I wish we would have gotten a longer fight. I feel like the fight between the two of them was a little bit rushed. I would have liked to seen a little bit more of a fight and just see both of them go down, like fight each other. I wish that would have happened. But you got Rabbi Jacobs, who stops them. And you got the two of them who, I don't think they have a falling out, but they just kind of don't trust each other to an extent. So I really like that. And then at the end of the episode, you got Virginia, who awards John with a key, saying that she has seen him as a good member of the community, and he is being promoted to a higher ranks within the community. Now, at the end, during this speech, she mentions how John pushed forward with the investigation. She believed that it was an accident, but John pushed her, and thanks to him, they were able to find a real killer, and that the place is safe again. Now, one of the things I really loved about this is that I feel like Janice's death is is now going to weigh high on John Dory, because I feel like she said, he pushed for the investigation. He and Janice were close friends, so with her dying, he loses a friend, and at that same point, he pushed for the investigation, so in a way, he's responsible for her death. So I really like that. I feel like that's going to weigh heavy on him, which I really like. That's something that I feel like is going to be an interesting side to see to John, and maybe it'll push him to get some more revenge on Virginia and push him more to a darker side. I like John, but it would be cool to see a more darker side. I don't want to see too much of a dark side, because I still want him to maintain that charm and good nature that he has, but maybe just a tad bit of a more darker side to the character. But that's something I did like. And then at the end of the episode, we also got June, who arrives at the community, and I really like that. I feel like Virginia used this as a ploy, and I feel like it's like a way that I feel like she kind of has feelings that maybe John, after what happened with Janice, might kind of maybe step out of line. So she brings in June just to keep him in line in a bit. I don't know if that's true. Maybe I'm just thinking too much into it, but that's just something I noticed. And then throughout this episode, it's shown that John is having an issue of a tooth. He has a cavity. Now, this is something I absolutely love, and it was very interesting because I always find it interesting with realism, and it feels like this is realism. In the apocalypse, you're not going to have dentists. Your teeth aren't going to be taken well care of, so it would make sense that you have a cavity, and you want to be able to take care of it like you would in the modern day of the apocalypse. So I really like that and how it bothered him. And then how he pulled it out at the end of the episode. I really like that. It was just so much realism there, and I just like how they brought that kind of story into this episode. It was a tiny little bit, but I really did enjoy that they added that little nugget of like realism into the episode. So I really did enjoy that moment within John's story. It was a teeny tiny bit, but it was still something I really liked. Now we also get a few things in Morgan in this episode. And I don't really know what he was doing. I don't know if he was trying to track his people or just going out on a run. There was never really any indication unless I missed it. If you know if he was out on a run or something, please let me know in the comment section, because I really didn't really understand why he was out traveling. But he's got Rufus, Meal's dog, with him now. Now, one of the complaints that people have had with this episode is that, Morgan brought this dog along with him and that he was talking to it. Now, I don't have an issue with this. I know a lot of people had an issue with this, but I don't, because it makes sense. It makes sense because a lot of times TV shows and movies will have this person be on their own, and they'll have like an animal companion to talk to, and it makes them, be able to express how they feel, express their emotions, and it doesn't feel like they're just talking to themselves. It gives them someone to talk to. It gives them a companion, and I've seen it in a lot of other movies and TV shows, so I'm okay with that. It was something I like, and it was a good part to the story, even though it was a tiny thing. And then at the end of the episode, you got Morgan, and he's traveling, and he ends up getting into a wreck with these two men that we saw at the end of episode 1, who sprayed that at the end is the beginning. And they confront Morgan because they were after Emil, and they notice that he has the key that they were asked Emil to hunt down. Now they confront Morgan, and Morgan tries to get them to stop and try to figure out a peaceful resolution to this. However, both men attack him, and Morgan is forced to attack back, and he ends up killing both of them. Now, this was a great scene, especially with the murders, because they were really more of a gory murder than we've seen in a while on Fear. Like, Morgan, stabbed a guy in the stomach, and, he pretty much disemboweled him, and then he killed another one by stabbing him, I think, in the throat. So that was really cool. So I really love that. And then you got him just questioning what's the key unlock. And I like that. And I feel like they also kind of broke the fourth wall in a way, because it's also the audience wants to know what the key goes to. So I did like that. This was a really good episode. Probably one of my favorites of Fear to date. I would even say that. I think it's probably the best episode Fear has had ever. Maybe that's just me. But I really did enjoy this episode of Fear. Now, if I had to give it a grade, I'd probably give it... I don't really like to give 10 out of 10s, but I think I'm going to give this one a 10 out of 10. I think this episode deserved it. I think it was a really solid episode. So I'm going to give it the very few times a 10 out of 10. But let me know your thoughts and opinions on this episode in the comment section down below. So yeah, guys, that's my review of Fear the Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 4, The Key. As always, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and share. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and hit that bell icon. There to miss some more Walking Dead content from me moving forward. And you can go follow me on Instagram and Twitter, which are linked in the best section of my YouTube channel. As always, it's been Vision here with Entertainment, and I'll see you next time.